All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Oregairu, Season 2, Episode 13.
Oh my god.
Season 2 finale.
Yeah.
Here we go,
Season
y'all.
2 finale. Mama showed up.
Mamas.
And
Ooh.
the amount of tension just in my whole body, like just in anticipation of whatever's going to happen this episode, because it doesn't have to end happy. Like, this is the end of Season 2.
I feel like we're getting reveals, though.
Yes, we're
because
probably
there's a lot of
lots
things that are being danced around with regards to the whole Yukino, Haruno family situation.
Yep. That whole debacle.
Yeah, the whole thing with Hayama. Yeah.
I feel like Chip in that scene in The Beauty and the Beast where he's in the machine with the axe and he's just like, here we go. Like, this is...
You wound it up, you
gonna be
stoked the coals, and you're just like, I'm ready.
And
I'm ready.
things are gonna get wrecked.
I'm going to go bussin'.
Hopefully it's none of these wonderful characters that we love and care about so much, but that's probably what it's going to be.
I think
kind of already has been happening.
I think that this is going to be the moment where Yukino is going to want Hachiman to save her.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
This is going to be that moment.
I do believe that might be it.
So, y'all,
this might be it.
Without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
How in the hell did you guys wait 5 years on this episode? That's crazy. That is actually insane. Like
I just can't believe that it was a thing where it's like, you guys waited 5 years, but you still got a season 3.
Right, yes. Yeah, like, oh man, like, the doubt of, like, wait, will there ever be a season 3? There needs to be a season 3. Like, you cannot just...
Guess not enough of you caved to read the source material.
Yeah, so good job.
Good job.
yeah, right. Oh,
nice
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All
okay,
right. This was a phenomenally simple episode. I loved it so much.
This was so good.
We had an extremely small cast this episode. The fact that Yui's mom showed up was just like that little cherry on top. We're just like, we did not need that, but that was so lovely.
It's like having Komachi in there for 20 seconds, right?
Exactly.
It's like, hey, there you go,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And I gotta say, just for me personally, as the Yui shipper and everything,
the one who literally was like, how have we not seen her family all this time?
Yes.
The show's like, don't you worry, boo. I got you.
I got you, boo. And it's like that. Oh man, it's such a little thing, but it means so much to me that we get to see Yui's family, even if it's just for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Because of course, more hands off, so there's not as much reason to see them.
Totally.
Right, but I love it. It was, and this whole episode was just so excellent. I love because one of the things that I was thinking before now, because the previous episode ended with Yukino's mom showing up, I figured that it was going to be something where the finale conflict for the season was going to revolve around Yukino's family, not about the three of them necessarily as a group.
And just regarding the future in general.
I am so glad that it took this direction.
Yeah, because,
oh my god.
Because what this was basically saying that the part that's worrisome here is not about any individual's future, but it's about our future as a trio.
Yep.
And that's been the thing that has held back, I would say, Yui a lot in the past. Is that she was a bit too worried about the present and future state of things with regards to the service club.
Yep, and while she was making progress on that, that was set up to be the big thing that was her problem from the beginning, of caring too much about what people thought and how her actions might change things, basically, in uncomfortable ways.
And Hachiman misinterpreted that she's just a nice girl.
Right.
Constantly.
But no, it was insecurities, right? And so...
That's just not true.
And this is something where,
yeah.
Because this episode in and of itself, while it also gave me hope that, who knows, maybe Yui and Hachiman could end up together at the end, I'm so not worried about who ends up with who, right? Because the characters have started to address their issues without much... without any immediate environmental,
The reason that they brought up for that, though, and I love that they did this here, was that whoever basically confesses here kills the group.
Right.
And that person then becomes the person that's responsible in their mind for the loss of the group dynamic. And they're both hyper aware of that.
Yeah.
Hyper aware of that. To the point where it was something that Hachiman was almost like, yeah, I'm aware of that as someone who's not going to confess.
Right.
Because...
Yeah.
Because, well, that's not really in his motivation right now. That's not really the thing that he's
after
desiring.
Something genuine. He's not something. He's not after something that's romantic.
Right.
If it involves romance, great. But
because there is
his
an
priority
aspect
is
of
something genuine.
Right. There's an aspect of confessing your romantic feelings that is a genuine act.
Definitely.
But it is something that is it is a separate.
It's not like necessary.
It's
to
not
have
necessary.
that in order to have something genuine. So,
exactly. So. Yep. The worry, of course, for him is that he's going to end up the loan shark. No pun intended, but
sure.
Yeah. Is that he's going to end up being the mud shark or whatever, just sitting there, grabbing grubs as they come by, living the life.
Yeah.
Alone.
So.
But.
Oh boy.
But over the course of this episode, we see Yui basically say, "I'm taking charge now."
Yep.
And I gave you a fair shot, Yukino.
Yeah.
In fact, I gave you
more than a fair shot,
or 3 fair shots.
Like
in this episode.
And this is what I love about it because okay,
and Haruno called her.
Yeah, Haruno called out Yukino hardcore
because she could almost like smell it in the air. Like.
And that was actually that was the frustration that I had with Yukino up till now is that she felt too passive. She didn't assert herself enough.
She's not strong.
Right, because she's not strong. She's not actually the paladin. She does that in certain instances, but for any of
that's a facade. That's fake.
Well, it's for all the situations that don't matter to her. For any of the situations that really do
for
matter.
Others.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So she is the paladin.
Right, she's the paladin, but there are the instances where the paladin, the paladin's armor doesn't apply, where they can't actually just smite things and have that, be the end of it, right? And she's not used to those situations. She doesn't deal with those situations.
Pretty low whiz.
Right. That's probably why she enjoys being a paladin so much, because it distracts her from the really important situations where she knows she's weak, right? And so the fact that we basically got because okay. The fact that we got Yui setting up Yukino so much this episode, it broke my heart originally because I'm like, wait, Yui, are you giving up? Like
it did seem like that.
That's kind of what it seems like. But then at the same time, it's the kind of highlighting of the problem, right? Because Yui is saying, okay, I also value this friendship and everything, so I'm going to potentially do that.
Yeah.
But there's limits to how far I'll go with that, right? If you then leave and then Hachiman goes after you to the place in the aquarium or whatever, I'm not just gonna stay away forever, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you a little bit of time and then I'll come in, right? And in the same way that Yukino didn't want to give the cookies or the chocolates or anything like that,
also left them together at the Penguins, and stuff.
Yep, exactly. It's like, okay,
this is a problem.
This is a problem, right? And
we need to address this.
Right, and this is the side of Yui that I have wanted to see for so long, where basically she fully goes assertive and talks about her own desires, her wants, but then also some of them, but then also calls out the issues that she sees because she's a lot more in tune with her feelings than the other two. Like with the other two, it's a lot more of
So her block is mental then.
Right.
She's not actually willing to be bold. She is a coward. That is her problem. That is literally a word that was used in the episode. Like basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that she's basically.
I would put that more to Yukino, but okay.
Oh well, yeah, totally.
Right. Well, yeah, they all have.
But that's neither here nor there. The Yukino issue is something that is it's even worse in some ways.
Sure.
Her issue is that she doesn't have a self. She's a mimicker.
Yeah. So back to what I was saying with regards to the Yui thing. The reason why this is so satisfying to me is that even though I'm a Yui shipper, right, and I get the feeling that Yukino is going to end up with Hachiman, this is something where Yui, her strengths and everything are being fully brought into the spotlight, and not just as I'm going to put myself down for the sake of others. It's the no, okay,
I want it all.
Right? I'm going to be greedy. I don't know what it was that she was like thinking when Yukino and Hachiman were alone together, but at some point, like she made the decision back when there was the sleepover happening of I'm gonna go on a date with him tomorrow, right? But then also she ended up going and talking to them and being like, all right, let's get to the bottom of this, right? And that's something where it's like, okay, awesome. She is getting the win of her character arc, regardless of whether she gets the win of the romantic arc.
Yeah.
And that's
important.
That's really important.
Yeah.
And of course I hope that she gets the win of the romantic arc,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
But that's something that is moving forward full steam ahead. And now what's left basically is, okay, Yukino, what about your arc? What are you going to do, right? Because there was a spotlight put on that.
Yeah, and she needs to solve the situations herself. So in a lot of ways, Yui channeled a bit of Haruno here.
Sure.
Which is kind of funny to see from the outside perspective side of things, because she basically pushed Yukino against a wall, Kabedon, and was just like, make your move.
Right.
This is the move I'm going to give you, though. If you don't make a move, this is what's happening. In some ways, I will make you accept it too.
Right. Yeah. If you're
not making the decision, I'll just say, okay, I take that. I'll take your silence as.
I'll drop some ground rules, and it's something where I'm not saying just get lost, but this is going to be resolved, right? We are not just going to stay in this stasis forever, right?
So if you won't make a move, then that's your loss.
But
I'm taking everything then.
Exactly. I have limits to what I will put up with, right? Our friendship is very important to me.
Yep.
But I'm not going to sacrifice myself for your sake.
But let's look at the environment that was set up here. Yui decided to play the pronoun game with the audience, which is hilarious because, the characters, they don't need this necessarily.
No, it's all to just...
It's entirely to debate the audience. If you have her saying, we're going on a date, Yukino's initial immediate response is, huh? You mean me? And then it's just a thing of where it's like, well, no. Or yes. It's either we means singular, plural, not singular, first person, plural.
Can we actually go back to that part at the beginning? Because was it we or
yeah, it was we.
I'm going on a date with Hachiman tomorrow?
Nope, she never mentioned Hachiman. Never. That was a very, very intentional, well, I know what I want to do. I made up my mind. I think she says, I want to go on a date. Or says, tomorrow, we're going on a date. Yeah.
Oh.
It's infuriating. Because what it basically is saying is, we are going on a date, literally could mean we, you and I, we, the three of us, or we, me and Hachiman.
Yeah.
It's entirely a thing of where then they cut after her going, huh? Come again?
Right.
Okay,
right. So yeah. So when that happened, I immediately interpreted that as her saying, me and Hachiman are going on a date, right? Because then later she says that. But from Yukino's perspective, she's like, wait, the two of us are going on a date.
This is how I know you're a Yui shipper. You never considered Yukino's perspective of that whole bit there.
I have said before that there is a part of me that would not be wholly surprised if the ending was the three of them all together, because Yui and Yukino are that close.
So 100% seriousness here. What Yui did here was she put Yukino into the situation where she is immediately insecure.
Yep.
She's immediately pushed into I do not feel comfortable with this. And this is not just the aquarium, which is where I was thinking there was maybe something additional in this. This is a space where she knows that Hachiman loves the aquarium. But Yukino, you don't even know that, do you?
Sure. Yeah. Yui knew that, but you didn't.
But you didn't.
Yeah. Although she did... the one thing I do want to bring out, though, is that I think she actually did know that Hachiman was going to be there because she brought the chocolates. They were in her bag.
But why would she leave the chocolates at Yui's house, Jacob? No, she just takes everything in her bag with her.
I suppose.
She literally came from a place that she's not necessarily fully comfortable in. So of course she takes everything with her.
I will posit though that there is a good chance that Yui did tell her, and if she did, I don't think it would have changed anything, and that's kind of the problem.
Yeah. But let me.
Okay.
Instead of trying to figure out how it is a certain way, look at just the fact that it wasn't specified to us. Yes. Therefore, it can be any of them.
Yep.
So one of the angles that you look at this is that Yukino doesn't know necessarily what Yui's fully intending, planning by any of this here.
Sure, she has a hard enough time understanding her own feelings, let alone someone else's.
Exactly. So she comes into the situation. Hachiman's there.
Yep.
Something that she very easily could have found out about just along the way. Whatever. The point is that almost immediately into this bit here, she asks, if I'm being the third wheel here, I can leave.
Yeah.
So she doesn't necessarily know that Hachiman was here.
Okay, yeah.
And I would say it leans more likely that she thought it was a date with the two of them. So from her perspective, Hachiman suddenly shows up. It's not that Yukino suddenly shows up.
And then Yui's like, nope.
I want this to be the three of us.
Yeah.
But you can very easily tell that this is something
Yui's
that
like
is
determined face. Like
this is Yui's determined face, but also this is what she said later. This is her playing dirty. This is her basically saying, I think I'm actually stronger in this situation here.
Right. I know what my strengths are. I know what Yukino's weaknesses are, and my strengths can...
And this will play to my advantage later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does. It does in a very strong way. What I like about this, though, is that she does actually want this to be the three of them.
Yes.
This part of it being the three of them is important.
Because she also wants the three of them to still be friends after whatever happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So I totally understand her perspective here, but I think it is very painful to think about from Yukino's perspective. Is that she is she is the one dealing with the issue of the family stuff, the external thing. Like she's the one with the biggest external problem in this whole thing. Everyone has the problem with the trio, right? But they're basically like, all right, now we're going to focus on this and stuff. So I'm going to bring up the serious problem with this bit there while you're weak, while you're in this like really fragile kind of specific state here.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's me going, the Yukino meta is low. Okay, well, let's go. So I just think that this was a strategically genius play.
Yes.
By Yui, and it's so dirty.
So it is dirty. My combating of that is all's fair in love and war. 2.
Yeah. Totally.
Here's another thing I would say.
Yeah.
Yukino is in pain here. Yes, or she was in pain before this whole thing was, set up, right? She was coming from a place of being in pain.
Yeah.
But Yukino's always in pain. I think that's one of the things that we've started to realize.
Everybody hurts,
Well, yeah. Everybody hurts. Yeah.
It doesn't really say anything to be like someone is always in pain.
No. But
what do you mean?
But Yukino hasn't really been doing anything about.
Yeah, it's no one else's responsibility.
No. Right.
Yeah.
As a result, it shouldn't play into their decisions. And I think that's something that has happened that's something that Yui has done before now.
Yes.
Because she's empathetic with Yukino's situation, and that's dysfunctional, right? Because then it's something where even if it were to end up in like in a lot of ways, it's addressing the whole thing that I was kind of ranting about maybe a bit too strongly last episode, in that even if Yukino were to end up with Hachiman as a result of Yui doing things that way, that wouldn't be good for Yui, that wouldn't be good for Hachiman, that wouldn't be good for Yukino, right? Yeah. So we've got to have it be something where she truly enters this fight because Yui is now going to be fighting, right? Okay, all right. I am so excited, because
the painful part about this is that Hachiman's made his decision.
Yes,
long time ago.
He went and he went to hang out with Yukino rather than Yui.
Well, not only that. I'm talking about episodes before this. In almost an unfortunate way, it feels like he's he can't see Yui in that way.
So I think
that's a bit of an issue of where, when he basically acknowledged that he had relegated the two of them to being either the nice girl or the strong girl, that he had basically done them wrong here.
Right, and that's actually why I would say that now Yui might actually have a shot. Because
yes,
because up till now she's been downplaying herself. In the first season she wasn't downplaying herself, but Hachiman wouldn't look at her honestly. Right. In this season she's been downplaying herself for the sake of Yukino, and then also other circumstances, that would come into play and stuff.
Yeah.
And now Hachiman, she straight up told him by doing something, by playing dirty, right? In front of both of them, that she is not the nice girl, but then also in a weird way, it also kind of sets up Yukino, because it shows Hachiman that she is also weak. Right, and one of the reasons that I'm excited about this is because there's a part of me that wonders how much of Hachiman, kind of choosing Yukino up until now, was actually because Yukino was weak. Because there were situations where basically Yukino needed help, right?
I think it's more of the negative in that she's not the nice girl in the slightest bit. Yui is so the nice girl in his mind before this,
right?
That she's literally the thing he reviles from his past, and he has grown a bit since then,
right?
But Yukino was also kind of the cold ice queen, abrasive girl that he could banter with, so he liked just spending time with her more.
Right, and I would say in season 1 that was definitely the situation.
Yeah,
and then in season 2
things have changed up a bit.
Things have changed a lot because we've seen a lot more, Hachiman's seen a lot more of how Yukino is weak, right?
Yes.
And as a result of that, there's the element of, okay, if your friend is hurting, right, you will try and help them, but at what point does that become something where it's more than friends? At what point does it become a romantic interest thing versus a, hey, I care about you, I don't want you to be in this situation, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, okay. The situation being set up, though, in a lot of ways because of Yukino's family situation, thus she goes over to spend time with Yui. I like the idea that Haruno basically came in, and I think you and I were both like, yes. Like, once this was all the stuff that was said here, we were like, okay, I actually really like this. This is one of the few times where Haruno has kind of spat in the face of Yukino, and I wasn't immediately like, get out of here, serpent,
It didn't feel like there was some crazy ulterior motive. It was very honest. It was honest and upfront. In a lot of ways, it was very non-needly. Right? Like, this felt like she just came in with a club, and she's like, okay. Right, a megaphone, and it's just like, wake up, Wake
up. Wake up. Yeah.
Like,
and the part that's insensitive about it.
Oh yeah, it's totally
is that she's seconds away from doing that.
Right.
Giving him the chocolate. Like, at any one of these scenes, she's basically seconds away from doing that, but she doesn't have the capacity to make her own choice here.
Right. Even when it came to the cookies in the classroom earlier, that was because Yui was like, aren't you going to give cookies to Hachiman as well?
Yeah. And thus we see that this bit with Haruno here didn't solve Yukino's problem.
No, but it's definitely pointing at it.
Well, it's pointing at it, but this is why I think the scene in the room is really important here, because then she's like, okay, I'll let go of my sister, but then I need to grab onto, Hachiman, his words. I will use his exact words and latch onto that. I can connect with him, right? Because I like him.
Can tell, right?
She's and Haruno's like immediately like, okay, put Hikigai on the phone, like,
you're nice,
very nice of you,
right, exactly. And then that's it, right? It's just I know what happened just now, yeah.
That's basically
which is great because
also I caught the little thing with the window here. Look.
Oh yeah.
She's totally looking directly at him.
And the whole thing of her, like, the whole idea of, does she even have a true thought of her own? Because she's even here while looking away.
What do you think? Like,
right, what's going on? What's the situation? What's going on? Yeah. And I love that when Haruno is talking to Hachiman, she says something that to anyone else would be a compliment, but she's specifically saying the thing that Hachiman absolutely detests. You're so nice.
Yeah.
You're so nice.
Yeah, Haruno's a fascinatingly like written character.
For all the times that I absolutely hate her guts,
Yes.
she's unbelievably entertaining. Unbelievably
and
entertaining.
Incredibly effective.
Yes. Well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Like,
except with Yukino.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because
it's just amazing, though, what she can do when Yukino is not alone, which is why I think Haruno does these things a lot of times when
in front of other people.
Other people are there, because it maybe pushes other people to help Yukino, but also like give her the opportunity to reject their help a little bit. Yeah, because then she makes a choice with regards to that. You know, there's some. I have a
theory.
There's some stuff with that.
I have a theory. So, because with what Haruno's doing, it's born out of a frustration because there's things that she probably waited to see if Yukino would do on her own, and she didn't.
The whole family did.
Right.
That's why she lives alone.
Yeah, exactly. And yet she doesn't seem to be growing, so then Haruno comes in to try and push her. But the problem is that even then, like, you're pushing her, right? So that's, even if she were to actually start doing something, that wouldn't really be her decision. And then even with her coming and doing it in front of her friends, there's a few things that can happen as a result of that. One, it pushes Yukino more because there's the, this is public, right? Yeah. It's not in private. I'm sure Haruno probably voiced her frustrations and everything to Yukino plenty within the confines of their own home and one-on-one context and everything.
Yeah,
and Yukino probably responded in more or less the same way that we've seen her. Neutral, right? Yeah. But by doing it in front of other people, it's adding more barb to the bite. But then it also gives other people the opportunity to step in for her, which you could say is undercutting the situation or enabling, or maybe it's also just additionally pointing to Yukino.
Yep.
Do you want other people to be stepping in for you and solving your problems? Because they'll do it.
Yeah.
They'll do it. They care about you. Is that the life you want? Like the fact that Hachiman, when Haruno started, going off and everything, Hachiman like puts the kickstand up for his bike, and he's like a solid 10 feet away, right? Yeah. But I wouldn't have been surprised if he went up and like slapped her or something.
Oh God, no, never.
Like he was very much in the mode of like,
Hikiguya is extremely powerful with just his tongue. Yeah. Like he can speak his way into like driving enough force backwards if he really wanted to.
Just shut up, bitch.
No, I know. He would.
He has creative ways.
He has creative ways. He does not need to be a blunt, boring instrument.
No.
Yeah.
But it was very much the whole thing of, okay, yeah, your friends are gonna come to your defense. Are you going to let them do that?
Or are you guys going to then talk about it afterwards, hopefully?
Right. In a lot of ways, it's because the things that Haruno's saying are things that Yukino really needs to take in order to grow.
Yeah.
But probably because it's coming from Haruno, because it's coming from families, probably a similar situation with her mother, right? There's all this other extra baggage where it's okay, are you really thinking about my best interests, or is there some ulterior motive, whatever, right? So she isn't able to receive it. But because it's done in front of her friends, because her friends can also kind of see that how problematic this is, then maybe then they'll force Yukino to change because they won't continue enabling her.
Yeah, that assumes a lot of her friends, but I like that Haruno, in some ways, sees such potential in Hachiman that she's like, this one actually could.
Right, he questions things. Yeah, he prods, because she doesn't.
I'm gonna keep making in some ways moves towards him to keep him in her life.
Like that. Oh man,
I'm really excited to rewatch this series. Just in general, but specifically with a lot of the Haruno scenes, because I feel like we still don't know the full context as to why she's doing this stuff, because I feel like when she gets brought in, she kind of is like the vanguard of the family and basically saying that, hey, if you don't want to deal with them,
forces,
you can deal with me, and I'm a lot better than them. Let's be real. Like it's probably a thing of where she's like, hey, I know you hate our parents,
I actually do have your best interests at heart, even though I do things in ways that you don't like. But them,
they might not.
No, they've got all kinds of other plans for you.
Right, exactly. So it's the thing of like, hey, you gotta do something.
Do you want to be the distressing damsel princess locked up in a tower forever? Like, do you?
Right. Yeah. In some ways, I like that Haruno might actually be doing things so differently from Yukino to base and so kind of nastily at times to be like, hey, at least be nasty then.
Sure.
Are you going to mimic me always, or are you only going to mimic certain parts? You know?
Well, in a lot of ways, so Hachiman's whole desire for something genuine, right, is something that was always there. He just only fully admitted it to himself and to the people around him recently right? But that is probably where his despising of the nice girl archetype came from. Is because
it's not genuine.
It's not genuine, right? And he got burned by that in the past, so as a result, he's very sensitive towards it.
Yep.
If Haruno is wanting Yukino to be genuine, well, that was kind of Hachiman's sort of mantra, right? Like, like almost
it's like his new MO, really.
Yeah, like in a very immature way at the beginning, right? You know, but it's starting somewhere. You know, it's progress. He's moving. You know, it's a lot easier to get something moving in a different direction once they start moving. Like if something's just like, you might think that moving,
you got a rolling ball, you know, versus a block that's just standing still.
Exactly.
You know?
You might think that moving backwards is like negative progress, but it doesn't have to be. But standing still, that's really hard to work with.
Well, yeah, it's also the flat-footed aspect where you can then end up just getting knocked over because you're not ready for any force to come in really hard from a certain direction. So back to talking about the episode, in the details bit here, we get a lot of, I would call, kind of passive little remarks made back and forth across the trio.
About the situation.
But showing the dysfunction, basically.
Right, we're talking about sharks and shrimp and
exactly.
cat sharks and things like that. We're definitely not talking about, you know, us.
Right.
Yeah.
So as they get closer and closer to talking about the group, they each take little moments to shift scene or leave the scene or just talk about something else, change the subject. And it keeps making things more and more awkward. We see multiple moments where the characters are thinking they're trying to do something for the other person to help them out. Nothing happens. It probably gets more and more frustrating for especially Yui, because she's the initiator for this whole thing here.
Yep.
But then we get to things like, these look like fireworks, the jellyfish. And it's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That time.
Yep.
That could have been.
Well, and the whole thing of the fact that Hachiman, when Yukino excused herself and Hachiman and Yui were at the penguins, right? And then he's looking at the description of the penguins and the mating for life and things like that, right? And it's the permanence, like, that's starting to set in, and what we have going on right now, this is temporary, this will end eventually. Now, I think there's a good side of what happened there, where Hachiman left to go to Yukino because it was Yukino that left, right?
Yep.
At the same time, I feel like it could also be something where it's Hachiman's, he wants something genuine, right? But he's still growing. He's still working at this whole thing. Yeah. And here he's seeing something that's like, that's about as genuine as you can get, right?
Yeah,
that's glaringly, like blindingly genuine. Let's move away from that for right now. Let's move away from that concept.
Okay,
even,
sure. I think that there might be something there. I think it might have also been a thing where he's like, I'm not ready for this girl to confess to me right now, so I'm going to dip out of this situation before something happens, because that could, cause group problems and stuff.
Once someone confesses, then the whole thing
will probably fall apart.
Yeah.
So then we get to the Ferris wheel, and I love how his thoughts regarding this it fits so perfectly well with their issues as a group that they're just stuck going around in circles and hiding their instability. Yeah.
Because there are so many people. I mean, I know myself personally. I look at a Ferris wheel and I'm like, that's the most boring shit ever, right?
Yep.
It's going so slowly. It's not actually going anywhere.
That's why it's the romantic choice, Jacob.
Exactly, right. Because yes, it's one hell of a view, but all things come to an end eventually.
Yep.
Right?
It's almost over.
And
God. All right. So then
Yui's like, okay,
What are we going to do from now? Yeah.
Go home, obviously. And she's like,
okay.
That's
no,
not
I'm
what I
talking
meant.
about us.
Let's have this conversation.
And I like that Yui stops smiling here because she's serious.
Yep.
And this is something that is really painful and awkward for her to do. But I also love that the way she does it is a pseudo-confession.
Yeah.
It's a way in which she can keep the group together.
Because there's still the facade, but it's acknowledging the elephant in the room.
Right. It's basically saying, we all know
right.
what's going on here.
There's a very thin blanket over the elephant, but you know, and I'm not going to lift that up just because I know that would be very uncomfortable for us, but let's talk about this thing, you know. And I also, this is just like me reading too much into things, but when Yui turns around and, you know, like she's got her clenched fist and everything, she's not smiling, right, you know, and all that, she looked very similar to me to when Hachiman finally does this thing of, I want something genuine.
Yeah.
Like the looking down, the kind of the tears in the corners of the eyes, and like the trying to figure out how to say it, and resolved to say this, but it's hard, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah. And yeah, you know, I said I'd try to do it myself, try to do it my own way.
And of course, Yukino's like, you're amazing.
This is the result.
Yeah.
And
token of my gratitude. You already repaid me for that.
Yeah. So the idea that she says, I want it all. This is the moment where she basically laid down the gauntlet, and she also resolved to play dirty here.
Sure.
This is the moment here where she basically said, you know what? It's unfair to me to keep basically pretending that I don't want it all.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just say it out loud.
Oh, yeah.
And what's really cool here is that in some ways she wins, because Yukino doesn't know what to do. Yukino has no idea what to do in this situation. Hachiman kind of steps in, comes to her defense a little bit there.
Yep, and I love that.
And that's Yukino's L there, basically.
Right, but it's preventing a worse L. Because
totally.
Yeah.
I know. But if we were to basically make Yui's decision here to be something that she set out to achieve certain results, she got a partial result of that, like what she wanted here.
Well, because what we get here, and I love this, because this is basically a DTR, a define the relationship, but before any relationships start, right? It's defining the dynamic they have between the three of them. But what it also is, and this is why it's so perfect for the finale of the second season, is that it's defining the win for all the parties involved. Yui is the one who actually comes out in front of it and says, this is my win. I want it all. Regardless of whatever happens here. Well, I want to end up with Hachiman, right? Because I love him.
And I want to fix all our problems.
Right? So it's the, here's my
request.
My request. My line in the sand, right?
I'm hiring y'all as the service club.
Exactly.
I'm a part of the service club, and I'm going to make the request.
Right.
And this will be our goal.
Now,
is to fix our problems. But I'm letting you all know, in the midst of that, I want it all.
Right. Exactly. So and then
get ready.
Yukino, she wasn't able to properly respond to this in a way that was like standing up for herself or anything like that, truly talking about what she wants. But by Hachiman basically saying, no, Yukino needs to solve her own problems, basically, right? That's not something that any of us can do. What I love about that is that while it is still an L for Yukino, right, because she wasn't the one to speak up, it is helping Yukino define the win for herself, right? Because that's the win that she hasn't really acknowledged, right? But it's that, you do your own thing. You figure out what you want, you go after it, right? And that's the win for you, right?
Right.
Now, we basically, and since Hachiman wants something genuine, right?
Right.
We now have the stakes and the goals for all three of the characters.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Yukino might end up getting to a point where she's confident enough to say something that's a bit more specific, a little bit different or whatever, but that's currently what she's struggling with. So, there you go. That's something you can work on. And that makes me so happy, because then, while they have their own desires for the romantic conclusions and all that stuff, them truly growing and finishing their journey as people within the context of this show we know what it is.
Yeah.
And that means we can work on it, or they can work on it, however they're going to choose to do that. So.
Yeah, and that's going to take some time. It's going to take a little bit of effort from Yukino's side of things, especially to be willing to actually go after your future with what you want. And because Yui basically said, I can give you that if you'll accept my proposal here, which will keep all of us together, but you won't get Hachiman. You probably won't.
Yeah.
Because you'll have ultimately basically surrendered your ability to decide your future to me.
And I'm not going to. I'm done putting you first.
Right. I'm not going to give you something that I ultimately want.
Right.
Because I want it all. And what I really like about this here is that Hachiman's able to follow. Okay. I really like what she's doing here. This is really good for,
but also
for
be
Yui.
that little,
because she's not going to go wrong. She is very much going to be looking at the right answers and go towards them. However, she is taking away the thing that we just kind of acknowledged here, because Haruno was right in a lot of ways, that Yukino needs to be the one to make the decisions about her future here. She can't be giving this to Yui for the sake of the group or anything else like that.
Because the
stakes. Then.
The big problem basically with how it would have gone is that, because Yui is coming at this from a place of basically impatience, right? She's I've sort of put up with this for a while, and I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah. But by trying to get Yukino to agree, basically, she's saying, if you're not ready now, then you
might as well give up. Now.
You might as well give up. You're never going to be ready, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Which is fighting dirty, And so Hachiman then is like, no, hold on. Let's not do it that way, because you are greedy, right, Yui? You want it all. So, you want Yukino's problem to be fixed, and she really is the only one who can do that.
And the beautiful part about this is that Hachiman's decision of how he wants to do things here, he's like, whoa, don't leave me out of the equation here.
Right.
Is in some ways something that will potentially leave him all alone.
Sure. And this is a romantic comedy snafu.
Yeah. Even so, I want to think, writhe, struggle, and find. And then he doesn't say it because he's saying something genuine. He's basically like not saying it in so many words.
Right.
And then Yui's just like,
I had a feeling you'd say that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then the tears start to come.
Right.
Yukino kind of realizes that it's her turn to make a decision there, but then she says, "Don't tell me how I feel. Also, this isn't the final anything."
Right. And this is basically her resolving to, okay.
Yeah. Because we still have your request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of wanting something genuine.
So, what's really beautiful about this here is they covered all vectors of the triangle.
Right, exactly. Yes.
And by Yukino deciding that was where, in a lot of ways, her focus would be, she was also pseudo-confessing to Hachiman.
Yeah.
Now, I think that this is a bit of a reach, and I know a lot of people will probably just immediately be like, Caleb, that's a bit of a reach. I'm saying this, just prefacing it in advance here. This bit of acknowledgement, just to where she's focusing, it's the same thing of where when you're looking at a group of people that are talking to each other, where they're facing is telling you basically where their priorities are at the moment here. And since her struggle is that she doesn't have her priorities focused on herself, it has to be on one of these two. She can't just choose them both. So by her acknowledging his request in addition to this, it's like saying, yes, your request is fantastic, Yui. But remember, we also have Hachiman's as well. It's not like Yui had forgotten that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just saying...
Right. It's because, it's dealing with all aspects of the triangle. The lines connecting them all, Yukino to Hachiman and Yukino to Yui and Yui to Hachiman. But then there's also the points along the triangle, right? You got to make sure that Hachiman is good on his own with him, who he is as a person. Same thing with Yui, same thing with Yukino, right?
Yep.
And so... Here we go. We've got the roadmap for the rest of the show, and my God, I am so excited. Yeah,
and then the final bit of the triangle that isn't fully addressed here, the one combination...
Is all of them?
No. That's by the nature of them having this conversation.
Okay.
It's that Yukino hasn't asked for help yet beyond stuff in the past. Yukino needs to, in the 3rd season,
yes,
ask for all of them to help her with this. And that is her choice then to have people come and help her. Not a thing of where it's like, I'm going to look like I need help until you come to me. And I'm going to address you directly and be like, come and help me. And what I think is going to happen is that the whole freaking crew, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Like, down to the
Zaimakuza,
Zaimakuza, Sai.
Yep.
Freaking
Power of friendship. We're going to get the band together. And
Kawasaki Saki. Yumiko. Hina.
Even Iroha.
Yeah.
And that...
And that's probably where she'll end up being.
Yes.
Girl is that.
Well...
Yeah.
I'll hold out hope. But either way, well said. And that also voiced my kind of frustration that I didn't really understand at the point when she said, "Save me," because that's also fighting a whole other kind of dirty.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
Because it's basically saying,
at some point,
I don't trust myself with my own happiness, so do that for me.
You're right, right.
And it's like,
I need you to be the one to look out for me when I need the help, because I won't be willing to ask for help.
Right. It's like, if you can't even get to the point where you're willing to ask for help, like come on, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, cover your bases if there's like a specific vulnerability or thing that you are struggling with, for sure.
Right.
But when it's a pattern, that just becomes enabling.
Yeah, one of the areas I've seen in relationships quite a bit that is a very common thing, that is where people have a need and a want surrounding a specific thing, but it's the deconstructing of what part of it is the need versus the want. An example of this is, if you're in a relationship with someone, one of the things that will just make them really just feel really great about themselves is if you just kind of send them a text or a call or whatever, just to be like, I'm thinking about you, I care about you, I love you, just a little something.
Right.
Just for the heck of it. But if it's a thing of where the person then isn't doing that, and the other person goes, I would like it if you do that, it's like, oh, cool.
Communicating their emotional needs and everything, that can be really good, yeah.
So then they start doing it, but let's say they're not perfect. They don't do it every day. If you then get on their ass about, like, you didn't do it on Tuesday. Right. Why didn't you do it on Tuesday?
This isn't supposed to be a dependency thing.
Right, exactly. It's a request. What you're doing there by being like, I need you to do this every day, it's like, okay,
boundaries.
I got that. But the person has to be able to make their own choice about the matter there.
Yep.
And you can talk and ask questions about the idea of when someone doesn't do the thing that you ask of them specifically, like, to talk about it. And this is where Yukino can, in some ways, learn a bit here, is that I don't think she's really been put into that position where Hachiman even will really save her. Except maybe just the act of all this that happened here, and a little bit of that thing with Haruno. But even then, that was just him being himself, Yeah,
right. She's been in a situation where, because this has been a weakness of her for so long, she doesn't really know how to get herself out of it, especially considering that she has some people that have been enabling her this entire time. But now, boundaries have been drawn. Yui has said what she is very much not going to do.
I'm building my castle here.
Right. Exactly.
It's Age of Empires style. I'm building it on the gold. In the center of the map.
I'm going to get to Imperial Age before you.
Yeah. Sorry for those of you that don't know what we're talking about.
Old ass game. But anyway. So it's something that was hard for Yukino, and you could see that in her body language and everything, and the emotions behind it. Like, she could barely even speak.
Yeah.
But you got to do that in order to actually walk, right? You've been having people carry you around everywhere, Yukino. That doesn't work. And if you have to start by just crawling, and being like, hey, I forget what it was exactly how she said it at the end, but when she voiced, when she turned to Hachiman, right, and she started communicating and stuff, like that's good. That's a start. Keep going.
Yeah. I really liked this bit though from Hachiman, where he basically followed up with her being a strong girl to being like, I burdened her with the ideal image I had of her. And what's interesting is I feel like Yukino has constantly tried to find the witty, clever thing to say when around Hachiman.
Yeah.
For the sake of like, oh, you kind of like this. You respond kind of well to this.
Mimicking him, yeah.
It's in some ways, a mimicry thing, but it's also a okay. I need to like unpack this a little bit, but it's a thing of where
seeking approval.
No, this is in some ways her playing the part of what Hachiman sees her as.
Oh yeah,
so
sure.
It's like she's saying, all right, I'm Yukino. I'm Yukino Yukinoshita. This is how I speak to Hachiman, you know?
Right.
And it's so forced at times that I had been wondering why it was so forced. Because a part of it was like, it feels almost a gimmick of sometimes the anime characters where the girl just talks like, smack to the guy because as if he's a perv or whatever.
Right, because there was the one or few characters that got really popular from doing that. And now everyone has to do it. But then it's like
this, I think, is them saying no.
No, it's a character flaw. It's not
this is a specific flaw, not only because of Yukino, but because of the relationship problems between the two of them.
Sure.
Where it's built around this kind of stuff, actually.
Okay, yeah.
And that's partially Hachiman's influence there.
Yep.
That's not just her problem. It is primarily her problem because she's the one doing it, obviously.
There are few of us secure enough to be really in love without proper encouragement.
Oh, okay. I don't know how that applies.
Oh, well, whether you're talking about romantic love or just in human connections, to truly be oneself, that requires confidence and a security of oneself. And Yukino hasn't had that.
Well, I don't think there's such a binary state with regards to that.
Well, okay, it's been an overwhelming weakness in her life.
Right, but it's kind of been the overwhelming weakness in all three of them. Like that's one of their underlying connection points.
Right, and hence the wanting something genuine.
Right.
But specifically with, like, I feel like with Yukino, it's given that she's only just now getting to the point where she's truly kind of deciding to face it, that goes to show just how deep the roots of it went.
Right, and that's because, well, in a lot of ways, she's the main girl in a weird way, and I don't even like describing it that way, but because we've seen where it comes from the most, really, in terms of the characters in general.
Sure, yeah.
Hachiman's is something where we
saw it quickly.
Well, we saw it quickly, but I would say in a weird way, Hachiman has told us where it's come from. But we actually more, if anything, have had a little bit of we've had more bamboozling as the audience from Hachiman's point of view than we have...
Not sure I follow.
So basically, Hachiman keeps assuming girls kind of are a certain way, and he's constantly actually wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas, like, so he has a very smart, intelligent grasp on like certain situations, except when it comes to the way that other girls are kind of treating him in general.
Right.
But with Yukino, hers are something where because it's separated from her perspective, like we never see her internal perspective on these things.
Sure.
We don't have as much subjectivity tainting the view of it. It's much more an outside thing here, whereas Hachiman's deals with a lot of internal stuff. So we can end up kind of just siding with Hachiman because he's the one that we get first person.
How does that tie back to the whole idea of us seeing hers more?
Oh, no, we were seeing a more true version of it. We were seeing it more accurately more often. Hers was definitely just Hachiman's was something we definitely saw more of.
Okay.
But it was just whether or not we were seeing it correctly.
Oh, I'm still... Okay.
It's a third-party thing versus a first-person thing. That's all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm having trouble describing it, but...
Okay. Because yeah, there's the... I think I know what you're getting at.
We've never seen Yukino's first-person internal thoughts.
Right.
So, therefore, we have to take everything from the outside perspective which we can then only look at the facts of things. Whereas Hachiman goes into interpretation a lot because we get his first-person perspective.
Right.
So there's more ways in which we can be wrong about the perspective of things through Hachiman's angle of things than we can with Yukino's.
So I think I understand why I was getting confused. Is that if we're talking about Hachiman's perspective, like our view on his perspective, like if it's first person, that can't be wrong, right? Hachiman will be wrong about like things in his environment for sure.
No, he can't. It can totally be wrong in that he is. At any point he speaks, he is making in his thoughts, basically. He's making an interpretation based on observation.
Sure, yeah, right. Because if he's deluding himself, then we have to... if we can't see his self-delusion, then we don't see the dishonesty of it.
He is not the narrator of this story. Like, he does not have omniscient... He does not have omniscient
Right, he's not omniscient, yes.
So therefore, the things that he says are things that he believes... Right. But they're not necessarily empirically true.
Sure.
But when Yukino's mom, I guess that both their moms.
Yeah.
But when she comes in and does a thing, there's no way that we can, taint the thing of what she's doing there until we try to interpret it. But we can see the facts of what she's actually doing in these situations. We just don't know why she's doing it.
But if you're basing it on the response that we get from Yukino, we also see the responses from Hachiman.
Yeah, totally.
So...
yeah. It's just then we're not getting Yukino's interpretation of it. We have to rely only on ours. So Yukino can't try to deceive us with any kind of, this is how I feel about this.
I don't know. I feel like it more boils down to the amount of screen time they get rather than how it's actually communicated. Because I feel like first person will always give more information. It just might be a bit muddied.
I agree. Yeah. That again, I wasn't trying to make a point of us getting more one way or the other.
Gotcha.
It was about which information is more helpful. And Hachiman's at times...
Yeah. I disagree on that one. I think...
Well, that's the Haruno situation, is that Hachiman immediately, like us, eventually was like, or immediately was like, Haruno, you're a problem.
Right. Please
we now have the context of what Haruno is more kind of actually doing, and it's actually kind of trying to be a antagonistic but pushing big sister to Yukino.
Yes.
And thus she's actually really helpful in terms of what she's doing. That's why I was saying I wanted to rewatch the show when we were bringing up the Haruno stuff, because I was like, I think a lot of the Haruno stuff is going to make a lot more sense now.
Yes, right.
Going back with all this context.
We've swung back and forth as far as what we thought the motivations for Haruno were, because sometimes it didn't actually seem to truly be in Yukino's best interest.
But that's because I think we were looking at things with Hachiman's first-person interpretations pushing us in certain directions.
I would have said for me most of the time it was because I saw how Yukino responded to Haruno's things that she was doing. So because like my logic behind it most of the time is that Yukino knows Haruno the most, so we should look to her to see what we should think about Haruno, and then but Yukino is all kinds of like there's all kinds of chaos going on inside of her.
But that was also based on things that we had primarily gotten from, I would say, Hachiman's interpretation of it. So I feel like a lot of this is just a really clever way in which the story is basically said, a lot of these characters, you don't really fully know them until you've gotten to look at exactly what they're doing. And it's kind of the way in which when you label someone a certain way, like you call them a nice girl, or
much like our theories sometimes.
When you don't have a genuine connection with them, you are very, very easily able to influence your perspective of them and point them in a certain way. You can burden them with the image that you had of them.
Yeah, and you won't necessarily see the signs that points you in a different direction.
Because you color it specifically for a certain
angle.
Like
the whole thing of her quips against Hachiman being so forced some of the time, which I love, because that was like comedy. When you write it, can be tough, because if it doesn't land, it doesn't land, right? And you don't necessarily know what's going to land to the audience, right?
Yeah, because everyone's different.
Right. But with regards to why do the characters make these comedic quips when sometimes they don't land? Sometimes it can feel like a meta thing of just the author might need comedy in here, right? So you have them have their shtick. Right. But if it's something where it goes that deep into their psyche of why they do the things that they do, you know?
Every bit of dialogue from a character should be based on that character.
Well, right. But sometimes there's those disconnects because, you know, the author doesn't think about it that deeply or whatever, right? You know,
I totally understand.
You know,
I would just say that that's then just lazy writing. That's
totally. Yeah. And that's why I appreciate so much that line of thinking with regards to this, because the idea that Yukino's awkward, like, because it was very obvious whenever Yui would do it, because she was trying to imitate Yukino, right? When she would try and do like the little,
ever did it,
she didn't do it often because she quickly realized it didn't work, right? You know, but those times when Yukino makes a joke or some stab at Hachiman, and it's like, get some tweezers for the splinters under your fingernails there, girl. That was a bit reaching, you know.
Yeah.
But, oh boy.
Okay.
This episode was so good.
Yeah, we've got ourselves the season 2 finale. Last time we went through a finale, we got an art style change.
That's true.
So,
and this is going to be a
5-year gap in terms of seasons. So I expect almost an entire additional visual revamp of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
However, I believe the third season is done by the studio still that did this one. So we're not going through a studio change. We might just go through a little bit of a modernizing of some aspects of the character design. Maybe the hair is just going to look a little bit better, you know, on the characters or something. Who knows? But the third season is the final season.
Yep.
Like the series.
Battle lines have been drawn up, and now our characters are going to duke it out and help each other with, you know, the things that are going on. And
our triangle is well established.
Yep.
And in some ways, what we've done here, and I'm impressed that I think they've kind of done this. They basically said, let's start over.
Yeah, kind of.
In a weird way.
Because
not exactly that, but it's kind of like saying, let's start over.
We're not ripping off the facade, but we're acknowledging the facade enough to the point where it completely changes the dynamic of the situation, right? Because so now we're in a completely
fair game.
Different set of territory, and that's and I love that also from the standpoint of the love triangle, because while, you know, on a meta level, I think Yukino's going to end up being the main girl, right? Or the canon end girl.
I will admit she definitely lost a bit of the percentage chance here,
right?
But it's like going from 98% to 88% in my mind.
Yeah, you know? Well, it's the whole thing of, from the story perspective of how things are set up with where the characters are at.
Right.
I would say it's a 50-50 or even like a 65-35 in Yui's favor.
Well,
but from the
third angle. Remember, we're in a triangle here.
Yes, that's true.
There's a third choice where
no one ends up happy.
No one ends up happy.
Yeah,
here.
and that
was something that they both.
Possible.
That was something that they not they both, but they all kind of acknowledged here,
right? And have kind of accepted that chance.
Or no, really, just Hachiman. This is the thing. We only really get the first person perspective of Hachiman, and he was really the one to realize, I could lose everything here.
Right.
In the same way that Yui is saying, I want it all. Hachiman is like, whoa, I want some of this.
Right.
I don't want to give everything to you. Right. Sorry, you know.
Well, just because we're going into this and it's all crazy and stuff, let's remember the potential stakes, because stakes are about what can be lost, right? There's the goal that's what can be won,
right?
The positive side. But let's remember the stakes of what we're dealing with.
The chips on the table.
Right. This is precious, right?
Yeah. Already invested.
Yeah.
So not raises or bets or anything.
We are dealing with fine china, and we're saying, let's build it into something else. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah. You know, like, hold on now.
Yeah.
You know.
I love this because if I look at it like a poker table, basically, season 1 and 2 were the flop.
Yep.
And the fourth.
Fourth Street,
Fourth Street, yeah. And
now
we're going to pull the river.
Yeah.
And Yui's like, before the river even drops, I'm all in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an unnecessary raise, basically. But it's a statement made from her that if you're not willing to go all in,
you might want to fold.
Then you might as well fold right here, because you can recoup a little bit.
Right. And it was also, she kind of also gave a weird kind of out, even though she was also trying to force Yukino into, kind of saying back off.
It was a forceful kind of...
But by saying, I want it all in that I also want our friendship, it's the thing of this will be
so now you have to choose.
Well, right, but also, this will be my terms of victory.
Oh, right.
So don't worry for anything outside of whether
What you want.
Of what you want, right? But any other fears that you might have, put those aside.
I'll make that choice for you.
Well, I'll
lead us to the end.
Right, exactly. I care about you a lot, right? I don't just care about Hachiman, I care about you as well. I wanted you here on this date, not just because I was playing dirty, but because I want us to be together. I wanted
to have this conversation.
Right, yeah. So,
or maybe she wanted to have something like this, but this was just
how it came out,
It took too long. I'm making this happen now.
Sure, yeah.
But, guys, season 2 finale was a hell of a thing. We've got quite a bit to go through here, but I can't wait to rewatch this show now. Already.
This show's so good. Like,
it's really fun.
I can tell that I will have a ton of fun also showing people this show.
Yeah, the comedy, I gotta say, made scenes like this be not scenes like this, but episodes really like this be one that I was prepared for.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, I almost want to talk a little bit on the meta level with why this show works so well for me.
Ooh, yeah.
Is that the character comedy
is excellent.
Is actually just amazing.
We need Iroha and the
I just really get it
and stuff.
I really get it.
Okay.
I think maybe that's a way to describe it, because comedy is good or bad. It's just
subjective.
It works. It works for me. Exactly. So now that we're here in the dramatic stakes of like the high-end poker table, basically,
right?
And Yui basically just leaned back in her table, popped in a cigar, and was just like,
"I'm about to ruin this person's whole career."
Yeah. I just pushed it all in.
Right. Yes. Like,
what'll you do?
Well,
your move.
Because I will say, even just coming into this episode, and I thought it was going to be about things completely different. I was stressed as fuck. Like my stomach was actually roiling, like I was going to be sick or something. I don't know if I would be able to handle this kind of heavy stuff if we didn't have the levity of the hands, the hand movements, and the Iroha and Hiratsuka and all that stuff, and Komachi being adorable, going off to take her school test and talking about sine, cosine, and tangent and stuff. Like, oh boy.
But yeah, here we are. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. Info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.